In Howard Nemerov's free verse poem, The Vacuum, he uses excessive imagery and personification to show how inanimate objects can carry such meaning to someone in an emotionally vulnerable state, often dealing with loss. The speaker of this poem is a man who has lost his wife very recently. As a new widower, he is somber, lethargic, and depressed in his everyday activities. The one object in his home that keeps causing him to recall this loss is a simple vacuum cleaner. This household staple mocks him in every way possible to make him relive how his wife is now gone. Nemerov pushes the image of depression and filth to the forefront. Now that his wife, whom constantly cleaned every nook and cranny in their home, is gone, the house has gone to waste. He is embarrassed at how full of dust and dirt the house is, and what his wife would think of him because of it. The vacuum sitting in its corner is his interpretation of how these thoughts have gone through his head. In the first stanza, the narrator sets the scene for what his life has become and why it is this way. In line 2, he personifies the vacuum into a living idea. The vacuum cleaner sulks in the corner closet, its bag limp as a stopped lung, its mouth grinning into the floor, maybe at my slovenly life. In these lines, Nemerov brings attention to how the widower thinks of the vacuum cleaner. It is no longer an inanimate object. It is a living, breathing thing that mocks him in his life now without his wife around. This is also where the first clue that he is in fact a widower. By saying a stopped lung, he brings the thought of death into play. He also talks about how the vacuum cleaner is grinning and at how sloppy and disheveled his life has become. When a close loved one is lost, most go through a stage of depression that can bring a lack of action. In the second stanza, the widower clearly states that his wife is passed. But when my old woman died, her soul went into that vacuum cleaner. He also talks about why the vacuum has become such a mocking figure in this time of grief. I can't bear to see the bag swell like a belly, eating the dust and wool and mice, and begin to howl. Here the narrator further personifies how he feels this vacuum really is. He feels that his wife, when she passed, went into this vacuum cleaner. He does not want to use it because he would never want to fill the memory of his wife with dust and disgusting substances lying upon the floor. The thought of howling brings a shudder and pain to the mind. This is how the mind of the widower feels when he sees that vacuum sitting in the corner of his house, mocking him. In the third and final stanza, the narrator truly shows how he feels this vacuum cleaner mocks him every single moment. In his sorrow and depression, he has lost the drive to even clean his home as his wife had. She used to crawl in the corner and under the stair. His late wife obviously was obsessed with cleaning every area in their home. This is how the vacuum mocks him. He feels that his wife would be saddened and angry at how filthy the house is now. The vacuum just sitting in the corner, unused, he imagines she would see this as a huge problem. And still the hungry, angry heart hangs on and howls, biting at the air. He feels that his wife would be very upset at how the house looks. The vacuum is hungry and biting at the air in anticipation to be used, mocking him yet again. The widower almost feels that he has no reason to live at this point, being overwhelmed by sorrow and depression. I know now how life is cheap as dirt. In The Vacuum, Howard Nemerov uses classic personification of a vacuum cleaner to show how emotionally vulnerable people can become overwhelmed with grief. This vacuum represents what the widower thinks would happen if his wife were still around and saw him in this state. Nemerov was very effective at expressing the sadness and depression the man feels in this experience of loss of someone very close to him.